They stood at an impasse on opposite sides of the street. On one side, the three girls stood dressed for the summer sun in loose shirts and denim shorts, light bags slung across their backs containing bottles of water, sunscreen, and a few snacks. On the other side stood a man dressed in thick, bright scarlet robes. He had removed his fur-lined hat somewhere in the middle of his monologue to fan himself, but, despite that, sweat flowed in streams from the top of his bald head to soak in the golden beard that grew in a strap around his chin. Inez, Eden, and Zen stood still, each of them processing what just happened at their own speed. "Why us?" Inez finally asked, a soft shake in her voice.
Because destiny chose you three.
The man's words were short and exasperated, as though the question were a stupid one and he was annoyed to have been asked it at all. It was this tone that caused the cloud of anger rolling through Zen's mind to break into a storm. "What if we don't want it?" she demanded sharply. "What if we don't want to travel to your world and save it?"
You don't have a choice.
The man said sharply.
You can't fight your destiny.
"Yeah? Watch me." Inez touched her friend's shoulder. Zen, calm down." "No," she snapped back, shaking off Inez's hand. "He can't just blink into existence and think his little magic show gives him the right to order us around. I don't know you, dude. I'm not going to follow your orders." "The least we can do is listen to him," Eden suggested, stepping up next to her irate friend, but not holding her back as Inez had. "He definitely proved that wherever he's from, it's not here. Why do we even have to do the least for him?" Zen rounded on Eden. "So what if he's really from some magical land? This has nothing to do with us." Red-faced, the man sputtered, slapping his hat against his leg angrily.
You know nothing, child. You have no idea what a gift this is.
"If it's such a gift, why don't you take it? Be the savior of your own world. I want nothing to do with it."
You have no choice. The wheels have already been set into motion.
"Your wheels can do whatever they want. We are not on board."
You started this.
He growled, taking an aggressive step toward the group. Inez moved forward, placing herself between her friend and the man who now seemed to have fire in his eyes. He ignored her, gaze and vitriol locked on Zen.
The second those necklaces were clasped around your necks, your lives were marked by destiny.
"What, just because of these stupid things were supposedly the heroines of your story? Forget that." Zen moved around Inez, ignoring her staying hand as she reached back to unclasp the piece of jewelry from her neck. "I don't even like it that much. You can have it." Zen ran her fingers up and down the chain, looking for the clasp, but couldn't find the telltale lump in the middle. "Can you help me with this, Ness?" Zen asked Inez. "But, Zen, please, just get this off me." With a long-suffering sigh, she did as asked, stepping around her friend to unclasp the thing. "I'm just saying maybe let's not provoke the stranger we just saw create a tornado in the palm of his hand," Inez whispered at her back as she spun the chain in a circle to locate the clasp. "No lecture, please," Zen snapped, balling her shaking hands up at her sides. "I agree," Eden added as she moved to stand mostly in front of her two friends, guarding the space between the girls and the man. "But a lecture is for sure happening later." "Fine, I'll accept it later. Just hurry and get this off," she whispered desperately. Inez paused. "I can't find the clasp." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I can't find the clasp. The chain is all in one piece, like you slipped it over your head or something." "Then I'll just slip it off," Zen said, ignoring the disappeared closure. But the chain wouldn't rise past her chin. Zen's gaze snapped up to the man once more. "What is this?" she demanded.
Destiny.
The word came sneering and triumphant from the man's mouth. "Get this off!" Zen shouted, trying and failing to rip the metal from her body. The man smirked at her.
The only thing that will remove them is the completion of your task.
He didn't flinch at the glowered Zen leveled at him.
You have been chosen by the necklaces of legend. The sword.
He looked at the silver necklace that hung from Inez's throat, which was shaped like a dagger, decorated with a glinting ruby.
For protection. The wand for power.
His gaze shifted to the spiraling gold necklace that held 2 purple amethyst gems that swung from Eden's neck.
And the compass.
The man moved his glare to Zenzen and the circular necklace with a spinning piece of dark jade surrounded by a ring of onyx, which she was trying to yank from her neck.
For guidance.
Guidance? Zenzen laughed while still tugging at the trinket. You think I'm the one to lead the circus? You've got the wrong people!
This path was chosen for you, and you cannot run away from it.
Zenzen opened her mouth to say something more, but the man easily cut in over her.
There's no time left for this useless arguing. I had hoped to use this time to prepare you, but that is impossible now.
He frowned at the 3 of them, before finally shaking his head. With a sigh, he gave them a brief warning.
Brace yourselves.
For what? Zenzen was silenced as the world tilted around them, and they were sucked into a sudden, chilling blackness, their surroundings quickly melting away. The man's last fading words were,
Your task begins now.
This is another piece I wrote a while back. And when I say a while back, I mean sometime in my mid-20s. I spruced it up to more accurately reflect my style as a writer now, but some of the lines of dialogue are still a bit cringe, to be honest. I'm so far removed from the space and age I was when I wrote this a decade or so ago. Writing a teen at 23 is a much different experience than writing a teen at 35, especially in the year of our Lord 2024. Not to play the I'm older than Tumblr card, but even with being chronically online, sometimes I just go wide-eyed at new trends or old trends resurfacing as new, or the evolution of slang I come across. Sometimes it's to marvel and wonder, and others to gasp in horror. All that being said, I feel like if I were ever going to write a YA novel, which I 100% have no plans to, I would have to set it in like 2007, a time where I knew how kids spoke. I mean, it would still be unbearably cringy, but it would at least be realistic to my own mind. I hope how I depicted the girls here comes off a little more timeless, though. I think because it's such a small moment of time in a larger story, me toying with high emotions can allow for fogginess in characterization. That being said, I shared the story with a friend. As I named one of the characters after her, I felt it was fair that she got a first look. We fell into a conversation about the characters, and she said that, to her, Inez came off as, quote, the most rational one, freaking out, yes, but ultimately trying to keep it together, end quote. And that was interesting to me because in my mind, I wrote her to be, well, for lack of kinder words, timid and fearful. Eden was the one I wrote as silently freaking out, but quietly holding it together so as not to add to the issue at hand. And while my friend did see that, she said Eden had big sis vibes coming in with the, oh, we will be talking about this later energy, which I concur, vibes. But then my friend kind of blew my mind, saying that Zenzen seemed to be the more fearful one. What? Where? I wrote her angry, clearly. How was there fear? When pressed, she said it was probably projection on her end, as this is the character I named after her. But as we kept talking, I kind of got it. When I was younger, someone told me this. Anger is a secondary emotion. It always begins in hurt or fear first. When I was told that, it really struck a chord in me. Now, generally, I'm not a person prone to anger. Do I get angry? Yes, 100%. Are there certain subjects or topics that send me into a blinding rage? Of course, I'm only human. But more often than not, it takes too much out of me to be angry. Instead, I usually just shut it down and cut it out. If a person or situation starts getting me to that place, I tend to take a breath, say out loud that I'm leaving, and then leave. I don't have time for that nonsense in my life. I'd rather be drinking milk tea. But because I don't let myself arrive at angry, I often stall out on these seed emotions of hurt or fear. It's why I find it easier to remove myself from certain situations. If I let myself get too angry, I'll fight and be petty, tear down, burn down, destroy anything in my path, up to and including myself if needs be. If I don't, if I stop before angry, I find I can care enough about me and my own well being to protect myself and move away. Looking back at Zen Zen's response through this lens, it's clear to me that all of her bite is coming from fear. Fear of what, though? A strange man popping out of the ether when she's just trying to have a relaxing day by the lake with her girls? Maybe. A tiny spinning top of air in a hand powerful enough to drag them a few steps closer before it disappears again? Probably. A stranger full of power telling her that whatever she thought her life would be is no more? Certainly. All of it? Yes. For all my talk before now on how I am not quick to true anger, my most natural response would be the same as Zen Zen's. Like, bro, I don't know you, and you're not going to crash into my nice comfy hobby hole and tell me I must go on an adventure. Step off. Legit, your world could burn for all I care. Yes, I can admit this response is mean and selfish, but this is my knee-jerk reaction to being told something is an inevitability. Inevitable. By definition, it means incapable of being avoided or evaded. Honestly, just thinking about that gives me the shivers. To be sat there and told that your plans don't matter and you have no say in it. You can shout all you want, but your voice will not be heeded. You can push back with all your might, but you hold no weight. Your everything is actually nothing. Being told something like that would hollow me out. For long moments, I would just be emptied of everything I ever considered me, and in that echoing space, I would have but one choice. The only choice left to me. To be filled with a cold fear, an iceberg of terror lodged in my center. Or to burn with a fire so hot the fury of it would scorch me where I stood and turn all around me to ash. Because when stripped of everything, what else matters? I will never finish writing this story. I know without giving it too much thought that Zen Zen would either be cowed into living out this destiny or become the villain, the very destruction of the world she was told to protect. I mean, maybe with the help of her friend, she could be brave enough to find a middle ground, but any sort of compromise would eat at her, turning her gut bitter and sour at the concession. Perhaps Eden and Inez would find a way to temper her, but it's more likely that she would temper them. It might be interesting to see a story unfold where the heroes do the bare minimum to save the world, more concerned with getting themselves back home. It could be something like a twisted Robin Hood. Save the people, but let the kingdom fall. It would be a revolution for sure, but man, would it be bloody. My mind is traveling down roads trying to find one that leads to happy for this story, a fix of some sort. But the Zen Zen deep in my mind knows that this was a call to war that she would not ignore. Writing is funny that way. Sometimes I just want to wrap things up, but the characters won't have it. And the voices of these characters are pretty strong in my mind. If I were to tell their story, I would have to do it right. And like I said before, I don't have the energy to be that angry all the time. So, for my own peace of mind, this tale will remain only this single moment in time, frozen in the seconds after an adventure is started, but before war is declared. That's all for this one. Be kind, kid.